Hello, hello. Welcome to the live. I've got David with me, so I'm just going to throw him onto the stage while I do this intro. Thank
What's
you
up?
guys so much for joining. What's up?
How
If
are
you
you?
are if you are with us live, drop any comments or questions that you have. No one ever does, but we would like to continue to remind people to drop comments so that we can answer them. And then really quickly, let me share screen. Window should be here. And add to stage. Okay, cool. Reminder, tomorrow we have our monthly CoachRx community call. You can register on the site under resources. It's also linked in our Instagram bio. Really big news tomorrow because not only will there be awesome coaching education around lifestyle design and prescription, we will also be demoing the all new health data, lifestyle, and trends feature. And if you're registered, you're going to get early access to that feature. It's going to roll out slowly next week, but if you join, you'll get early access. So be sure to join that. Also, quick reminder that the new version of CCP, which this is the wrong landing page, I'm going to switch pages real quick. New version of CCP OPEX method mentorship cohort is starting October 13th that week, but enrollment closes actually this Friday. So if you are interested at all, jump on a call with the education team and they will help you decide if it's the right fit or pass you to some other free resources that might be great for any issues that you are navigating. Last reminder, be sure to check out all the shows in our podcast network. Awesome coaches giving you guys tons of education and insight into all things coaching across a number of shows that are just awesome. Some of those coaches will be chatting with today on this live. So without further ado, because I know you have a quick hard stop today. David, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hanging in there. I was all set up to go, went to go grab my beverage and then came back and the studio had kicked me out. So I had to reset. So I was a little bit late.
All good. All good.
What's up with you this week?
Short week this week. So we have a break from the NPTI courses that I teach. We go 12 weeks on, 1 week off. So we got out of town, my wife and I, for a little belated birthday long weekend over in Huntington Beach, and it was fantastic. And now back for a little Tuesday through Thursday. So after I chat with you, I've got 5 clients all stacked up back to back to back. And then tomorrow's a big content creation day.
Oh, amazing. What do you have planned?
So just still working on the Advanced Training Principles course that is set to begin Friday, October 10th. So just making sure the first few slide decks are all ready, set to go to be sent out to prospective students when we launch. And then just kind of trying to get a little bit farther ahead than I have been on my own personal content. So getting some stuff scheduled, taking advantage of the trial reels feature to try and get some stuff in front of unfamiliar eyes, being a little more strategic with that. Yeah, I started a. I may have made a impulse decision to start a daily posting challenge for myself. So yeah, now I have to continue to build that.
That's amazing. I did one recently. Was it last month? I think it was August I think it was August. I don't think it was September. The months all blur to me, especially in marketing, because you're like, I'm planning content 3 months ahead. I'm building
Hmm.
content 1 to 2 months ahead, and then I'm executing current month. So I'm always like, what month is it? What am I doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that is such a great way to go because it just forces that consistency. You learn so much in the process of like who's resonating with what styles, what formats are hitting, what's getting the most engagement, what's getting the most saves. Like it's such a great process to go through. And I think it's asking for burnout if you commit to every day forever with a hard deadline, right? But when
Uh-huh.
you're like, hey, I'm going to go on this sprint for 7, 14, 30 days and then like take a step back and what did I learn? How to improve? It's a great way to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt to do longer than that. We'll see, but it's gonna be like very simple. So like there's gonna be an element to content is just um how do I want to put this? Quantity over quality for one type of content, and then that'll take some of the pressure off to create the higher quality content. Like I'll do that as well, but I won't need to post that as frequently. So the highlights of clients and the real like education around how I'm creating a training program for myself or for someone else can be a little more interspersed, and I can take the time to create that stuff more thoughtfully, knowing that I'm not going to go 7, 9 days without putting anything up there, because I've got this strategy of like very simple, repeatable content. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the awesome thing is you don't need like, 50 ideas a week. But I think that's a lot of why I really push the weekly content anchor with coaches, because it's like if you root yourself, well, obviously if you develop a really solid content strategy that is uniquely your voice and your point of view and your coaching beliefs and it sounds like you and no one else can repeat it, then from there it's like one really good idea a week you can
Hmm.
create a whole breadth of content, either if it's
Hmm.
long form and you're clipping or repurposing that into extended pieces in short form or presenting it in a unique way in short form. Like it's a smart way to go. And I also like filler, for lack of a better term, because like everything we put out, we want to have intent and we want to have purpose. But there are formats that are more simple to create with this like repository of core thoughts that you have to share, right? Where you can mix and match. Like a one shot, for instance, is something I
Yes.
go to very easily when I'm like, oh man, I haven't posted, but I have my content strategy. I know what my anchor is for the week. And now I'm just going to take some B-roll of me training with a very simple centered text on screen that is like a heavy hitting line. And that's enough, right? So like that you find your formats that you can like go to and create on the fly when needed, when you can't batch ahead of time.
Yeah, and we talked, I think, 2 weeks ago about kind of like who an ideal client would be. And for me, it's someone who is serious about learning how to improve their life via exercise. And so part of that means that as a coach, obviously, then I believe that exercise improves people's lives. So the daily post is basically I'm going to post a positive fact or an uplifting fact about exercise every day until I run out of facts, which is going to
Well,
be forever
yeah.
or until I just stop. But it makes it really simple because it's just, I can compile these lists of facts. I can find one article that has 8 facts that I think are really interesting. I can clip all those. I can put it in a note and I just overlay it on top of a video of either myself or a client training. And I'm taking those constantly throughout the week. So it's extremely easy to batch. Um,
And I
and
love
it
that
feeds my
because even
voice
though
of
even though it's
education.
like a variety of content pieces, you're posting a new way in which exercise and movement improves someone's life. The core idea or your coaching content signature, your core belief is that exercise does improve your daily life, and you're going to prove it through
Yes,
everyday knowledge that you're sharing.
by
And so
just
you
endless
become
facts.
remembered. Yeah, you become remembered as like, hey, there's this coach that's always talking about how movement improves your life, and
Right.
I know that I can go to his page and reliably get good reasons and ways exercise is going to improve my life. If I'm ever feeling like, hey, I don't want to move today, I'll go to this page and like binge a few things and I'll feel more inspired to go move. So I love that for you because it makes your content memorable and recognizable.
There you go. Exactly.
Amazing. Well, I was going to actually pop this up. Sometimes when I create shorts and I do this, it doesn't uh, look as great. So I was trying to keep you on screen as long as I could.
Sure.
But I love this one that you posted today. This is a green
Yeah.
screen effect for those of you that are new to the content creation world. Anything you want to share about this one? This was a cool client, had a really great moment where she like pushed through a max.
Yeah. So this is a remote, well, kind of like a hybrid training client whose life is typically all over the place. So she splits time between Arizona, Montana, traveling for family. And so she kind of last minute needed to leave Arizona and be up in Montana for closer to 2 months when she was thinking she'd be down here for closer to 2 months. So kind of had to pivot her training plan really quickly. Um, and she's really good about leaving notes on her sessions, right? One, so that I can see, but also for herself so she can look back and know this was perfect, I needed to go heavier. She's pretty honest, she'll say I sort of wimped out on this set of 8. I really definitely knew I could have gone heavier, but this is the first time she's left a comment for a remote session where she noted basically that she could not press the weights up for another rep. So she hit like a true 7 rep max, and 8 rep, eighth rep she tried and failed. And this is someone who She's trained on and off, but never as consistently as she has with me over the last 6 months. She has some injury history. She's middle-aged. And so, she didn't like grow up in the gym. So just kind of figuring out where's that line between great effort, too much effort, what feels like good effort, but like looks like that was so easy. Um, and so, yeah, it was cool to see her push herself that way on her own, probably in her, home gym, like literally no one else there, and trying and failing a rep and noting it. And then also putting in, like, I feel kind of proud of myself. Like, and that's like the biggest win of the whole thing.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. I also
Mhm.
saw your day 4. So you're already 4
Yes.
days into this challenge.
Yes. Yeah. I made a split second decision while on vacation that I was going to do this. I was just looking at some content strategy stuff from a content strategy guy. And he's like, right now, essentially, it's just volume. Like he posted something like an ungodly number of like 225 reels in 30 days. And,
Yeah.
that generated 9.9 million impressions. It's like, okay, there's something to that for sure.
Yeah. I think
And so just make it easy.
volume helps. Obviously, if the content is targeted to be served and find the right viewer, right? Because you want it to be like targeted virality that you want, and then accumulated compounding volume is going to have its benefits.
Yes.
But I do think it is really challenging to break through because there is so much content, right? And the most competitive content is the laziest content because
Sure.
most people aren't putting the effort into like really thinking about it. And not just, and I would love for us to get to a place where we're not just focused on the formats and the hooks and like just go back to like the core idea. Like, and that's why I think going to your content strategy, developing your coaching content signature, all that piece is so powerful because it's like your ideas are where you win, right? The way you present your ideas is where you win. And I think volume, the great thing about volume, especially in the beginning of your content creation journey, is that volume helps you get better at clarifying your ideas and presenting your ideas with clarity.
Yeah, totally. And like obviously I'm not at the beginning of this journey, right? But um I think there's hopefully something to this idea of kind of being somewhat omnipresent. Like there's always something for someone to see of mine. And
Mhm.
therefore, when I do create the pieces of content that I think are more impactful, right? Like the feature film, not just the trailers, that people are going to be more apt to see it, to watch it, because it'll be a little bit different than what they're used to seeing. Um, but yeah, I
And
do.
you're gonna learn so much about what types of things click and land for people, and then those things you can amplify.
Sure.
Right, because if they're performing really good organically, then they're if you put some spend behind it, they're gonna perform.
Yes.
Versus kind of like the old method was like, "Hey, let's just use ads to break through and
Hmm.
spend a lot of money," but you're really wasting money because you don't even know if that creative is good creative, and you're just kind of burying the lack of performance of it naturally by putting ad dollars behind it.
Totally. Yeah, which I have done.
So
Not to an extreme extent, but just kind of, yeah, I like this. So I'll just spend money on this thing that I think is good
that's the
versus,
crazy thing about
getting the
this world.
free feedback.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing about this new world that we're in is like we don't get to determine what is good, right? Because it's all just so subjective as to what the audience deems as good.
Okay, this is nuts. I was listening to a podcast yesterday on my drive home, and this guy was talking. I might butcher the exact numbers, but basically, prior to the printing press, all of the world's knowledge and data doubled every 100 years. And then once the printing press was invented, it cut it down to every 25 years. The total amount of available knowledge in the world would double every 25 years. And then when the internet came out, it went down to, I believe it was like 2 days.
Yeah.
And now with
Now
AI,
with
the
yeah.
most recent statistics, 18 minutes. every 18 minutes, the total amount of like knowledge and data in the world is doubling. So yeah, I mean, it's absurd
Yeah,
to
millions
think
of hours of
you're,
content uploaded to YouTube like every
dude,
day.
yeah, by like just bots, right? Like, so
But
yeah,
a lot of it is like definite crap, which I think goes
yeah,
back to this like balance of quantity and quality. It's like there are moments in which we have to rely on the quantity to obviously learn, get better, clarify, all those things. And then
yeah,
there is also time where we have to then lean into quality,
for sure.
uh, because it's going to break through, because there's so much. If everything looks the same and everything sounds the same and every coach posts the same type of thing, you ignore it because nothing sounds unique or makes you want to listen to that coach over another coach.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like, are we swimming upstream? Yes. But it's like the first thing you have to do is like just swing your arms and kick your legs fast enough to not drown immediately. And like then you can start to figure out like where am I going to get on shore and do something more important.
Yeah. So much of this too just aligns with like how you structure your business too, right? Think of all the trends that you've gone through as you've evolved with your coaching career and like how you position the type of client you want to work with and the service you want to deliver. So it's all so interconnected and evolving with you as you grow and evolve, which we're just
Hmm.
constantly doing.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. It's a
I love it.
journey.
Well, I'm excited to see like when you're like 20 days in, 30 days in to this challenge, like where your head's at, what you're finding people connect with, what are you excited about? Where do you want to lean into more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's fun. I'm lucky that I enjoy making content most of the time.
Yeah. Do you have to pop off or you
I
have more
do. Yeah, yeah.
moving
I
forward?
gotta
Okay.
run.
All right. Well, so good to chat with you and just check
Yeah.
in.
I'll talk to you soon.
Good luck preparing lesson plans this week.
Thank you.
Bye bye. While we are waiting for Brandon to join us, I'll pull up his IG. And well, you know what would be so cool? Do I have anything I could sneak peek you guys while we're here? Let me see. I was definitely not prepared for that, but let me pull up. You might have seen, I just shared this on the CoachRx Instagram. Nothing like pressure when you're live and having to do some searches, huh? Um, okay, I'll share screen here. I'm going to play this video if it'll play for you guys audio wise. Let me just make sure. Can you all hear that? Give me a thumbs up. I'm actually not sure if you can hear it, so I will just tell you. This is Carl giving you guys a personal invite to join us in the community call tomorrow. And as I mentioned, that Carl's going to go through. Gosh, he put this together a while back before we had even really leaned into developing the health trends and lifestyle feature. So this is just because it connects back to OPEX BLGs and coaching the whole person and really thinking about lifestyle as the foundation of anything that you're prescribing in programs. Um, 12 prescriptions that you can really think through and use as a foundation as a coach. So he's going to be going through those 12 different types of prescriptions and also connecting them back to the core data that you now have access to with the new health data integration as well as the lifestyle trends feature. So that's going to be exciting. And as I mentioned, if you join us live tomorrow during that call or you register, you will be given early access to the feature. So make sure that you jump in to that because it's going to be very exciting. And while we're waiting, because I we have the time, I wanted to just highlight if you guys have checked out the OPEX method mentorship, you'll know that the structure is a little bit different than the program has been in the past. So one of the main things is that they will have 3 touch points a week with the instructors, which is primarily Carl, on weeks 1 through 7. And you will have lecture on Tuesday for an hour, lab on Thursday, which will be a very focused implementation hour where you'll actually be building against the principles you learned on the lecture in CoachRx. So when you come out of the whole mentorship, your entire coaching system end to end will be built in CoachRx. So that is lab on Thursdays, and then office hours on Friday, which are just totally available for you to jump in and ask questions and get support. And then, of course, in addition to that, you also have access to the assistant instructors who will be in Slack with you at any moment that you need them. But the last 2 weeks, because David and I were just talking a lot about content strategy, the last 2 weeks are going to be with me, which is the first time we've ever done this. I have a couple classes in LearnRx, but have never really fully taught the actual CCP program. So now, if you go to weeks 9 and 10 here on this outline of content, we'll be going over marketing is in your 5-part marketing system in week 9, and then in week 10, we'll be going over how to develop your coaching content strategy, as well as talking about short form and long form, the benefits of both, and then your content formats that you need to be really thinking through. So that's just a little sneak peek about that, what's new on the OPEX Method mentorship. And again, we will close registration on this Friday, October 3rd. So if you're interested in that, just hit apply and jump into a call with Janice, Tara, or Ashley, and they will help you out. Hey, B.
What's up?
What's going on with you? I haven't seen you in a minute, or, on the webs.
I've got a nice video coming out tomorrow that I'm excited about. I was working on something for, it's only 6 days left for the Trainer of the Year voting. So I was working on a little video for that. And yeah, so I'm excited. I'm going to post that tomorrow, working on the podcast, working on programming, a bunch of things. So
Amazing. Did you end up having your live class on Saturday?
the live, what do you mean?
The fitness class that you guys were co-hosting, you and the female trainer.
Yes. We did that a few weeks ago. Yeah, it went really well. Yeah, it was good. We had about 20 people that showed up, and we had there's the way the gym set up that I work out of, there's like a couple big like open areas in the back. So we did it out of there. We had about 20 people come. Me and her ran the class, and yeah, it went really well. So it was a good variety of people, good workouts. Everybody seemed to like it. It was the first time I had done like a group class like that in about probably 3 or 4 years. So it was a good like reminder of what the group class energy looks like, because it's a lot different than personal training.
Oh yeah, just keeping your eyes on everyone's form
Yeah.
and correction. That's like so much to multitask. Well,
Yeah.
Amazing. And I saw the pod that released this morning. You guys are talking
Yes.
about using warm-ups as more of a coachable moment.
Yeah, so basically the episode was using the title was warm-ups that win sessions. And I think like the warm-ups, a lot of times there's a lot of things that like happen inside the warm-up. And I think, they can be overblown and they can also be underutilized in a lot of ways. I think overblown and the intensity that they have to be, or all the different like pieces that you need to it. But I do think that warm-ups can be a really important piece for teaching movement early on. And one of the specific clip that I posted this morning was just from one of the segments of the show that I was talking about how, one of my favorite ways to use a warm-up in beginning clients or people who are newer is a lot of times in coaching. And I kind of had this conversation in the episode before, or maybe 2 episodes before, the first 30 days with a client. You spend a lot of your time teaching, and a lot of that teaching time can sometimes be wasted if you don't know when to kind of like cut the cord on it, where it's like, hey, this really isn't necessary. Like we shouldn't be spending 30 minutes coaching an RDL, and we want to make sure that we're giving people enough time to learn. And I think with the warm up, you can do things like, for example, I use the RDL to teach a lot of these subtle pieces where it's like the hip hinge, or tension in the back of the legs, or whatever the details that you might be working on as an individual. You can take that time in the warm up to learn it, without as much risk involved, right? And then after 5 minutes, no matter what, it's probably still going to be a good warm up. They're still going to have the hips, prime. The glutes are going to be on fire a little bit. The hamstrings are going to be feeling it. And there's a lot less risk because there's no load. You're using maybe a PVC pipe or a band or your body weight, and it just saves you time because it's like, movement at the end of the day, it is important no matter what. And in that warm up setting, the goal really is to just elevate body temperature and move a little bit, right? So I think with that kind of thought process, if you use it to teach, you can get really efficient and get a lot out of it, as opposed to just, trying to make it like a second workout for somebody.
Yeah, for sure. And this segment, or I guess season of the show, you guys are really focusing on a lot of coaching education. I don't know, it's putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, the topics that you've released so far, because I know you've done the first 30 days with a client. Will you just run through some of those so people can know?
Yeah. So it was overcueing, like how overcueing can be like the death of your coaching, kind of. We had the first 30 days. We had the warm-ups that win sessions. We had, what was the first one?
I feel like there was also one about getting like plateauing.
Yes, plateauing as a coach. So basically, like, how to know if you're plateauing, and like what are some of the biggest signs that like you're gonna plateau, or what are some things that like great coaches that I know, or even myself, that I do, so to make sure I don't like plateau as a coach, because I think there's a lot of things that go on where we fall into that category of, because there's a fine line too with that, where it's like you know enough as a coach, but you always want to keep learning, but you don't want to become like an information hoarder, and you don't want to ever get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't need more information. And I think that like a lot of times with coaching, you can get to a point where you plateau, or you kind of just start to coast because you feel comfortable. And as a coach for myself, like I've talked about this a couple of times, but mastery is one of my values. It's just one of the things where it's like I want to try to become the best version of myself that I can be, and that requires me to keep moving. And it might look different every week, it might look different every day, but I think with with understanding that stuff a little bit more, you can start to see like what are the things that people do that they plateau, and what are the things that if they have plateaued, like what are some of the ways you can get out of it.
Yeah, I love that. When you were brainstorming this season, like what was your process like for approaching? How did you come up with the series of episodes that you were going to release in the season, or what made you flip from focusing on education that could be for clients and pivot a little bit over to coaches? Just walk me through kind of your thought process.
Yeah, so I wanted, the first season back with like the revamped podcast, I wanted the first 8 episodes to be episodes that like clients could go back to and always listen to, like no matter what, because a lot of that stuff I've been saying for years, and unless something dramatically changes in my life, where I get injected with new information that changes it, a lot of that stuff I don't ever see changing as like principle in my philosophy of coaching. So I wanted to make the first episodes about coaching, about clients, so they could always go back and be like, all right, I want to learn about nutrition a little bit more. I want to learn, what a good workout looks like, or I want to learn what a good coach looks like. No matter what, they could always go back to that. And then I wanted this next 8 episodes to be for coaches, so they could always go back to it. And at any point, obviously I'd update these, I wouldn't leave them for like years and years, but like something for the next couple of years that someone could go back to and just be like, okay, like I'm going to go listen to this because I'm in a plateau, or I really want to get better at cueing, and what does that look like? And I wanted each of these like 8 segments to be almost like I guess like a book essentially, but like in chapter form of different pieces that they can always go back to listen to. And then like my goal moving forward is to dive a little bit into athletics. Like I want to talk about athletic training, whether it be professional athletes or amateur athletes, and kind of what the difference in that might look like. I want to also talk about a little bit more about general training as well, and then just more bigger concepts towards the end. But for this year, we'll finish out with the coaching stuff, and then early next year we'll be a little bit more like back into athletic coaching programming, kind of like flip flop back and forth.
Yeah, I love that. Is the show just like such a fun creative outlet for you to be able to teach and share the knowledge that you've acquired?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I love it because, like, I mean, the biggest thing I love is like I get to do with Jerry, and Jerry's like, he's my cousin. I've known him literally my entire life. I love talking to him, and like in that, the thing is like me and him when we're together, we just talk regardless about that stuff, and it was just something where I had been doing it at my old gym, the first gym that I owned in Albany, and then I stopped for a little bit, but then I started getting back to it. Like I have I think over 200 episodes of the podcast, like from the past. But obviously this last year or so, I've been trying to really revamp it with him and create like an actual, like an actual podcast and have it look nice, have it sound nice. And I love, the biggest thing obviously I love to do is get the information out there. And I love just having like my whole goal with this was just to be almost like a verbal journal, just like I've never really had an interest in like interviewing people. I might have some people on if I feel like they'll be like a good fit for what I'm trying to do, but my goal is just to have essentially like a verbal journal for everything that I've learned, because I usually like to talk my thoughts out. Like when I'm thinking, I usually like to just talk out loud. That helps me kind of break everything down and hear it and then redigest it. And then I'll like write from there if it sounds good. Because sometimes when I leave stuff in my head, I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Then I say it and it's like, that sounds terrible. And then I write it down. It's like, that looks even worse. So I usually like to talk it out first, then kind of redigest it and then write it down. And the podcast is a great way for me to get those like finalized thoughts out without, because writing takes a long time, but speaking is a little bit quicker.
Yeah. I knew that you would connect with this thought around, well, you mentioned, because I know it's one of your core areas focus, like career wise, just like this aim of mastery.
Yeah.
Thinking about obviously your verbal journal in all of your episodes and the content that you create, but like your library of content is like your career's body of work, right? Your life's work.
Yeah.
And like to be able to go back and see 200 episodes ago of like where you were and like the growth and where you are now, it's got to be so cool. But then just to think about like you get to pass that on. I mean, like your kids are going to watch these videos.
Yeah, I mean 100%. I mean, I think like the thing with me is I've always, not to like sound like an arrogant person here, but like I've always treated myself like I was the best. And I think like I always knew I had what it took to like get to that level. And obviously like the skill comes with that as you get better. And I think, my mind was always there of I knew where I wanted to go, and like I knew I had what it takes to get there. But obviously, like if I was to go listen back, or I talked about this on another episode a while back, like if I looked at the first program I wrote, I'd vomit. Like it was just ugly, it's terrible. Like it's just one of those things. But I think all of us as coaches like see that, and we have those first couple programs that we've written that just are awful, and we go back and we're like, okay, like that was a part of me. That was like a part of where I was and what I've grown into. And I think that all of this really is always a story to, like you said, to show, because I think like one of the things even with all of the stuff that I have, there's stuff that I wish I took more. I really have nothing of my weight loss. I really have nothing of that whole process of going from like the fat kid at school to owning a gym and then training world champions. And like, I don't have any of that. And I have some pictures, I wish I took more videos. I wish I took more, vlogs, how I was feeling, what I was struggling with, because there was a lot of that, like it was 6 months of my life where I just decided like, hey, I literally woke up and I was like, I'm changing my life. And I did everything I needed to do. And I don't have any like videos of that. So like as much as the stuff that I do have, there's a lot of stuff that I don't have that I want to make up for. And that's kind of why I've gone so like aggressive with documenting so much stuff. And there's obviously still stuff I could do, but I want to also enjoy it as well. I don't want to have a camera in my face every single moment of every single day. I want to enjoy the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm improving on. So I try to take like the podcast, I try to take, the Instagram posts, the training sessions as more reflective pieces of everything that's going on. But yeah, I would say it's gone well. Obviously, it could go better, but I'm happy with where it's at right now.
That's cool. so I know mastery is your thing, and so it's always top of mind for you. But
Yeah.
when you find yourself sort of like, oh, am I actually taking the actions the way in which I want to take them today? Am I really pushing myself to be my best and aim for that ultimate goal? What are the things that you do to keep yourself on that path, or to keep your headspace in the right like place of pursuing mastery as the ultimate aim?
Well, I think for me, one of the biggest things is obviously like I don't like I want to. I know if I want to stand out, I have to like do things that people don't want to do. You know, and I think a lot of times it's as simple as like me feeling like I don't want to do this, and it's like, all right, I have to do this sort of thing. You know, like maybe I don't want to wake up at 5 o'clock every single day, but it's like I have to so I can get the things that I need to get done so I can be ready for it. Like, you know, it's very easy for me to have a session at 6:30 and wake up at, you know, I'm 5 minutes away from the gym. I could wake up at 6:10 and be there by 6:20. Like, but that's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. I don't want to give off that energy. And as well, like, if I'm going to be leading people, because I know my position right currently in life is leading people, you know, on a fitness journey and where I want to go, which is like leading people on better career paths, better coaching, better training, better whatever. Like, I have to hold myself to that standard, because if I don't, then people are indirectly very good at like sensing BS from somebody, you know? And I think in the beginning, like people can talk their way out of it, but after a while, it's like, "Hey, you're not doing anything that you're saying you're doing, or like you're not actually living that life, or you're not dedicating yourself," because you can only like fake it for so long if you're around somebody for so long. And I think that social media does a really good job of hiding that, because you can just show your best moments, and you can just show like the good lighting and the good moments of your life. But I think for me, like the biggest thing is doing it when no one's looking, because I want to sleep like good at night. I'm someone like, if I, you know, if I do something that I don't feel is right, like I won't sleep well at night. So maybe it's like a selfish thing where it's like I just want to feel good. But I think at the end of the day, if I'm not pushing myself, if I know I left something on the table, if I know I could have, you know, given 100%, and I've had those moments in my life where I know I didn't give 100%, and I like hate it. Like I hate when I know I didn't give everything that I could, or I didn't fully focus on something, or I know, you know, like I know I could have done better. Like there's nothing worse than that feeling of like I know I could have done better. Like I'm not that outcome. And I think I just want to avoid that at all costs. I know like no matter what, I'm not like outcome dependent, but I know if I'm 100% ready and focused with like everything that I have, and I walk into a situation and it doesn't go planned, then it just like wasn't meant to be. I know if I walk in 100% planned, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be collected, I'm going to be able to see everything that's out in front of me. And that I think is mastery. I think mastery is going in prepared 100%, knowing like, hey, I'm not worried about the outcome, but I know whatever comes my way, I'm like capable of dealing with. And I think that comes with experience, that comes with making mistakes, that comes with confidence in your decisions, you know, like being able to make a decision and say like, hey, I trust myself, not being like, oh, all right, I made this decision, but like, what if I didn't do this? What if I did this? Because you waste so much time in life by making a decision and then triple thinking what you could have done. It's like, yeah, you could have done something else, but like you didn't know, you know. And I like to say like, if you act if you act with the information that you had at the time, and like you're being honest with yourself, then you can't knock yourself for it. You know, you did the best you could with the information you had. If you had the information and you chose to ignore the information and not use it, and you make a mistake, then like you got to also take responsibility for that as well. And I think that's where mastery comes in, is like being honest with yourself about that situation, and and you know, you learn from those situations every single day.
Yeah. How are you saying no to things or like eliminating distractions, right? Because you're entrepreneurial. You've got a lot of your own projects that you're pursuing. You're coaching in person, you're remote coaching, you're leading a group of coaches in continuing education. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm sure when you're in motion, more opportunities just keep coming your way, right? So what's your approach to kind of like staying in your lane, pursuing what you've defined as success and sticking true to that, not getting distracted?
I mean, I will, I get distracted sometimes, but like I try when I know, like one of the biggest things I've tried to do is like when it comes time to do something, like I buckle in and I get it done. I don't, you know, it might not be the way I originally planned, like how it was going to get done. But like I know most of the time the outcome of what happens. But I kind of said with like I just kind of said with the not being so fixated on like what the outcome is so much. Like I know if I'm giving 100% of like my effort, whatever the outcome is like it was supposed to turn out that way. And I think with a lot of it, like I try to give myself leeway in that with like, hey, I'm human, I'm gonna get distracted, or things are gonna come up, or I'm gonna get tired. Like I've been a little bit sick the last couple of days, so it's like, okay, I probably don't need to, be staying up past 9 o'clock tonight working on something where it's like I'm giving 30% effort mentally. Like I could have finished everything I needed to do yesterday, but if I'm not 100% there ready to do it, like why am I gonna do it? You know what I mean? So I think some of the times with the distraction is like, hey, you know, you get distracted, you're human. But I think also at the end of the day, realizing and trying to take that stuff out as much as possible, because there is a lot of stuff that I want to do as well. Like there is a lot of stuff that I do. I think in those like everything that I do on like those other projects, I do it with somebody else as well. And I think that's a big thing where it's like I rely on not rely on somebody else, but I have somebody else to like, hey, I need your help on this. Can you take this over? Or hey, I want you to kind of figure this out because I trust your opinion on this, right? Like obviously I could do all that stuff by myself and it might be good, but I've always believed like if there's something else that I have another person with me, there's obviously things that I'm not good at. There's things that I miss. There's things that I just don't want to do sometimes where it's like they're really good at it and I can hand that off and then come back, look at it with that person and have a better end result because of that. Um, but I think, yeah, I would say, I'm getting better at the whole distractions thing because there are a lot of distractions in the world, especially like my phone. I'm bad with that, but I'm trying to get better at it and giving myself time to like, hey, it's go time. Because I'm someone like when I have to lock in, I go and that's it, and I can go for hours. It's just like the other end of that can sometimes be like, ugh, all right, it sucks.
Do you do anything end of the year, beginning of the year, or like now that we're like, okay, we're going into the last quarter. I've got a few months left to reach whatever goals I set for the business or for myself as project I wanted to get executed. What's your kind of like vibe this time of year going into closing strong and setting up new? Like when will you close this chapter and plan for next year?
Yeah, I think like this year I'm gonna end most of the projects in November and like really take December to like reflect. I usually take December regardless to just more reflect for the next year. I'll put a lot of that time into planning for 26, planning the goals, planning like the outcomes that I'd like to have, and kind of splitting that up. When I had a mentor a few years back, Steve Krebs, great guy, and he had the 5 F's, which was focus, fun, fitness, family, and finances. And I try to split everything up into those 5 to make sure that like I have goals for each of those throughout the year. I have, desired outcomes. I have daily practices and weekly practices. So like at the beginning of each month, for example, I write out those 5 and I write out like 2 to 3 things that I want to try to accomplish in that month. But those all come off of like the beginning of year goals that I want to plan for that year, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to use that as a bigger umbrella for what I want to achieve, how I want to achieve it, and then that comes down into like each month, and then all those goals within each month I use each week, and then like kind of turns into each day type of deal. That's just what's always kind of helped me see things better because I'm very bad at like details, and I'm very bad at I'm good at like big picture, but then when it comes down to like the little steps, I miss steps, and sometimes I just want to like get to it when I know if I take these little steps day by day, it's going to be better that way. Um, so I would say that, and then I read this book a few years ago called I think it's called Best Year Yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a big help. That kind of really helped me with like questions I can ask myself, really reflecting like what did I do? What did I do? Oh, I would say this. I'm always really good, and I think everybody's really good at what we did wrong. But I think one of the biggest things I had to start doing is like look at what I did well throughout the year. And as I started to do that, I like started to realize like, wow, I'm crushing these years. There was so much that I didn't even realize. Like when I went back to look, that was like a win in my book, or something I didn't even consider a win. When I went back, I was like, no, really, that was a win. That helped me kind of build momentum into the year, and it's been like my 3rd year doing that. and it's been really helpful.
I think you'll like this book because it's probably very similar vibe. It's called The 12-Week Year, which is
Okay.
like a weird title, but it's a short read and like a great kind of like planner type approach to really setting clear goals, but like time condensing the outcomes.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to that. And
All right, cool.
what was the name? What was the one that you said so I can search it real quick?
Best year yet, or your
Best year
best year
yet.
yet?
Your best year yet.
Might be
Okay,
your best
people.
year, yeah.
If you're watching this live, you got to look up your best year yet and 12-week year, and you got to close the quarter strong and be ready to start 2026 like ready to crush. So
on fire.
Speaking of ready to crush, you didn't mention your guide. We got to shout that out.
Yes. I have the Why Goals Matter guide, or essentially, the fight camp mentality that I built. That's on my website. If you go to www.bgperform.com/goals, I have a whole guide set up for individuals who might be struggling right now and really just want to like set some parameter for either the rest of this year or next year to just improve their training. I really believe, if you have a goal in mind, this sort of thing, yeah, showing it right here. This sort of thing is going to be really helpful in kind of helping you, take what I've learned through the highest level fight camps and watching these guys kind of build their team for the goal that they have, which is to win the fight, and taking that mentality and bringing that into everyday life and showing people how, understanding the goal, building your team, getting ready, and what your camp should look like, or your quote unquote camp, and then getting ready to walk out there and crush the goal that you want to achieve. So everything's in this guide here. You can hit that link. You can go to the website, click the button, put your email in. It'll get sent right to your email. There's a couple like interactive sheets on there that you can fill out. And then also, if you have any more questions, obviously just hit me up on Instagram. And then I got this video coming out tomorrow, which I'm excited for. But we got the trainer of the year. There's only 6 days left to vote, including today. I think tomorrow will be 5. So I'm assuming it ends on Sunday. So 2025 trainer of the year.
There he is.
First one. www.worldmmaawards.com/vote. Get your vote in for trainer of the year. I really want this trophy. I just want one of these. I don't care after that. I just want one trophy, one of these trophies on my shelf.
I mean, it's pretty cool because this is 2 or 3 nominees.
Two times. Yeah.
Love it.
We'll keep it going.
And then
Friday night, Paul Hughes is going to smash Usman Nurmagomedov in Dubai for the PFL lightweight championship of the world. He's going to bring it back home to Ireland. I'm excited about that fight. I also got Krzysztof Jotko is fighting in the semifinal for Octagon for the $1 million tournament for the what's that? Not welterweight, middleweight tournament in Germany. So he's got one more fight, and then he's going to fight in the final. He's going to smash this guy, and then we're going to win.
And then who wins for Saturday? I'm really bummed about the Yuri Khalil fight because I like both of those fighters so much, and Yuri is just like the sweetest fighter in my perspective. Like I love listening to him talk. So I don't even want to watch that fight. I'm gonna be like this the whole time.
Yeah,
and then like, what do you think, Uncle for prayer?
Shama.
Did you see the clip where he was like Shama and Uncle Life's like, no Shama?
Yeah, that's what. I think Poatan's gonna win. I really like Poatan. I think Ankalaev's really good. I think he's got really good wrestling. I think Poatan, to be honest, I think last fight Poatan wasn't focused. Like I think he was just everywhere trying to do everything, and he's really kind of embraced being like the face of the UFC right now. And I think really it's kind of maybe the UFC's part too, where they're kind of sending him to every fight, having him do a bunch of commercials. But I think he's going to be focused. I think his striking is going to be too good. I think after seeing somebody too, like I think the big thing with a guy like Poatan is when you give him 2 opportunities to fight somebody, he's going to see those holes that a lot of other people don't see. And I think even if you see his fight with Izzy, like Izzy won on a really, I'd say, lucky shot. And Izzy's like one of my favorite players or favorite fighters. But I think someone like Poatan's got vision. He's got like so much experience in the kickboxing realm. And I don't think he was as aggressive as he wanted to be last time. And I think if he just needs to fight a little bit more forward, use his jab a little bit more, use those calf kicks, because Ankalaev has been put out by calf kicks before. And I think the wrestling really got in his head last time. So I think if Poatan uses obviously his jab, uses that low kick because he's really good at that calf kick, opens up that, gets into switch stances, and then opens up with that left hook. He's gonna find a way to end that fight. So.
And this card is stacked too, because I totally spaced like Marab and Sandhagen as well. Do you
That's
think
gonna be such a
Sandhagen has a
boring
chance?
fight. No,
Really?
I like Sandhagen, but a lot of these the thing with Marab is you have to beat Marab at his own game, and no one has the cardio that Marab has, unfortunately. And like he's not a bad striker, but like it's really hard to beat someone who can spam 60 takedowns in a fight and not be tired. And someone like Sandhagen's really creative, but I just don't think he has the grappling to keep up with Marab, and I also don't think he has the fighting style to like put Marab on the back foot and get him, really uncomfortable. And the pressure with Marab is just really hard. Like, I don't, if you watched him against O'Malley, if you watched him against Peter Yan was the biggest one. I think Peter Yan's like one of the best, in that division. And he made Peter Yan basically useless because he shot 40 times and like you're just out of your rhythm. And I think with someone like Sandhagen, like he's good, he's technical, he's very like creative. But I think what's going to happen is Marab's just going to basically wear him out for 5 rounds. It'll probably be a decision. I think it'll probably be like a 4-1, if not 5-0 fight. Like I think Marab would win 4 of maybe like really the thing is with those types of fights, it's going to be early. Like it's the same thing with O'Malley. Like if he's not going to catch him in the first 2 rounds, it's going to be really hard because those guys aren't really like power punchers. They're more like, precision punchers. So if you're not going to catch them early, the precision's going to go. You're going to start getting taken down easier. You're not going to have that pop in your punches. So it's just going to, I think it's just going to be within the first 2 rounds. You might catch him, but I don't see that happening. So I think it's going to be like 4-1, 5-0, Rob.
I have 2 questions, unless you have to run, but you good?
Yeah. I got a couple more minutes.
Okay. So one question I have is, obviously Marab and Khalil same coach, 2 athletes in a big fight at the same time. Like how is he navigating that? I know he also obviously coaches a lot of athletes, but like, what's that like? And then my second question is, how do you think Marab's engine, like, is that something that he is just so ahead of everyone because he's put in the work and he's able to just continue to progress over time, or can anyone catch up to him? So I know those are 2 totally different questions.
Honestly, it might just be a genetic thing. I don't know. Obviously, like I do think with some of these guys, there's just like a genetic predisposition to having certain qualities like that. Because someone like Marab, I don't know. I think there's ways to obviously train cardio at a very high level, but like his is unreal, like to the level where it's just like he doesn't get tired. I saw a video of him too, which is really interesting because obviously with conditioning, like one of the biggest things is your oxygen cost, I guess. Like how much does the movement you have cost in oxygen to continue to move? And he swam across, I don't know how long it was, but it was probably over a minute of him holding his breath, swimming across a pool, which is nuts. Like he was underwater for the entire minute, just staying like all the way to the other end. And like that's something where it kind of shows you the level that he intakes oxygen and like the cost of oxygen for it, right? And I think if you look at a lot of other athletes, that's really hard to do, and they struggle with that. And I think with someone like Marab, again, obviously he works hard. And like I think that's the thing when you have that genetic predisposition and then you work as hard as he does, it's just like it's a win-win. And I think his fighting style is just perfect. It's a lot of wrestling. I think he does have a wrestling background in Georgia. Which is huge. Not Georgia the state, but Georgia the country. And that's just a different level of conditioning too. Like wrestling conditioning is, you think you can run and get good conditioning, but like when you're in a wrestling room for 4 hours a day, that's real levels of conditioning. Like the Dagestanis and all the Russians, like it's just a different type of conditioning for the body. What was the second part?
Khalil's and Marab's coach having 2 athletes in a big fight like this.
Yeah, so it's definitely tough. Diego, one of my good friends from Brazil, who's Charles Oliveira's coach, I've seen that dude coach like 5 people in a night, Jason Strout, who's another great coach from Florida. I don't know where he is right now. I don't think he works out of Florida anymore, but he was with Killcliff, and he would coach like 6 fighters a night, 7 fighters a night. So he's just like, you're going in at that point, you kind of already know the game plan. You're touching on the little things when you go into the room. You're walking out with them. You got like 10, 15 minutes, change into the new fighter's clothes, get out there, do the same thing, depending on how much time between the fights. With someone like Roundtree, I think they were the 3rd fight, so he'd probably have like 45 minutes in between, have the fight with Roundtree, come back, actually no, Marab is supposed to be 2nd, so you probably wouldn't have that much time. So it'd probably be a little bit more like, hey, have this coach, give him the game plan, set everything up, rely on the other coaches while he's in there, come back out, just be there. Because most of the time with that type of stuff, like even Diego in the fights with Ian, like he's a voice more than anything. Like he's there to guide, and he's had a really unique vision, a very powerful tone in the ring, like when they're in between the corner, and people look for Diego as a guiding voice more than anything. So I think it's the biggest thing with those guys too, is like their expertise and their vision. So it's hard, it's tiring for the coach, but it's just
And
part
even
of the job,
camp, like leading up the last 8, 10, 12 weeks, right? Like managing camps for all of those athletes. I know, like you mentioned, Killcliff, or what's the other big gym
ATT,
ATT. They have got a lot of coaches, right? But it seems like this gym that Marab and Khalil are at is just the one head coach seems to be kind of like the front facing guy.
Yeah, I think they train out of Extreme Culture and
what is his name,
Vegas.
John?
I think it's what the hell is his last name? I can't think of his last name. I know who he is.
I'm like spacing. I feel like it's Wooden, but
yeah, it might.
Yeah,
it might be Wood. It might be Wood. I think it's John Wood. But anyways, he's a great coach. He's got a lot of people there. It's not just those two. He's got a lot of people out of that gym. His wife was a UFC fighter for a very long time. She was from Scotland. But yeah, I think it's the thing is in MMA, it's a really hard sport as a coach because a lot of these gyms are big gyms. ATT does it really well. They have like 6 coaches, and essentially like a coach has like a group of fighters that they kind of work with, I think. But there's also like specific. So like there's a striking coach, there's a boxing coach, there's an MMA coach, there's a jiu-jitsu coach. There's all of these coaches are at the gym for the most part. And then there's just a head coach who kind of oversees everything. But usually those like coaches kind of lead in each thing, but it's like it's a group effort. But then I think it's one of the biggest things that MMA struggles with is that a lot of these guys don't have like a set group of coaches that they work with. So it's really hard to get someone to like buy into what you're doing, fully invest in you, because it's like, hey, a lot of these guys don't make a lot of money and they're not able to kind of invest into a coach. So it's impossible to ask a coach to invest back 100% unless like I kind of did with Ian, which is like, you believe in the vision and you kind of see where it's going, or, you go into a point of like, I want to do this because this is a really good person. And there's hope it works out and not really, look for that end of it, because it's one of the things that sucks about MMA. And I think it's really why it holds it back is like, there's not a structure for it. There's not like an infrastructure for it. There's not like a youth system for it. A lot of these coaches are just like scraping by. They're trying to do what they can. But I think if that improves and they figure out a way to kind of create that whole ecosystem of coaching and, obviously the fighters as well, because the thing is that a lot of these gyms, that's hard, is you're getting a lot of people who fight at the same gym that use the same coaches and they have to fight each other. And then it's like, damn, well, like, then the head coach stays out of it. And like when Ian fought, he fought, I forgot who it was. He fought, or when he was fighting Shavkat, they were, his coach, Jason Strout, he wanted to use, but Strout was kind of like, I can't. And it was hard because it was like, he can't just like, he wants to help Ian, but like he can't because of the facility he was at. And it's like this back and forth of like, I can't just go against a guy who's been in my gym type deal. And it's hard. So you got to kind of have that back and forth conversation and that's it. So
I'm sure you have, but we're big, like vlog. We watch a lot of vlogs, a lot of MMA vlogs in my household.
Mhm.
And obviously when Gaethje vlogs over the years, you've gotten to see a lot of Trevor Whitman's coaching style and influence. And I'm always so impressed by the attention to detail that he goes through in overarching program design with the specialty coaches who, wrestling coach, BJJ coach, obviously strength and conditioning is taken care of in one sense. And then he's kind of overseeing everything. And then he's doing like day-to-day conditioning and like striking prep with Gaethje. But like watching that level, it feels like it stands out as very unique in the way that he orchestrates his team of coaches and then leads program design across all the disciplines. But I'm always so impressed by the coaching acumen that he brings, not only from that perspective, like design, but also in watching him interact in session, like how invested he is, how involved he is.
Yeah, I think it's, again, like if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he has like a big operation.
No, small
to, like, really
Onyx in
yeah.
Colorado.
Yeah, like I don't think he has like a ton of people, which is good. If you can get to that level, obviously it's a lot better and easier to like do that sort of thing. It's just really hard because, he's got Usman, he's got Rose. I don't know if he still works with Rose, Namajunas,
Yeah,
Gaethje.
Sandhagen and Gaethje. And then he's
Yeah,
got someone
and
who's up and
Sandhagen,
coming,
yeah.
Archie. He's not
I don't
UFC.
know.
He's like another division, but coming up.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like, when you can run a small operation, you can focus on these guys and actually do that stuff, and that was like one of the best parts of working with Ian was like, as I was, because I work with a lot of people, but it's really hard to communicate with some other people because there's egos involved, there's language barriers, whatever it might be. And for me with Ian, it was like I was just there watching, so I got to see everything he did, so I can make the changes myself. But again, that's another thing with MMA. It's really hard because it's not, like a basketball coach, right? Like, when you look at basketball, there's the head coach, there's the assistant coach, and then there's like some assistant coaches from there. But for the most part, there's 12 guys you got to worry about, maybe 15 for like guys you might bring up, but that's it. Whereas like MMA, it's like one guy's got a jiu-jitsu coach, a wrestling coach, a striking coach, a boxing coach, an MMA coach, and then like possibly a head coach, and then all of them plus and a strength conditioning coach, and they all have to communicate to then give this guy the best version of what he needs, and then do that for 20 other fighters on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, with this guy's got a week left till he fights. This guy's got 2 weeks left. This guy's got 2 months. This guy just took a short notice 2 week fight. It's like, and it's crazy, and it's just kind of, there's a lot that goes into it, but it can be done, and it can be done at a high level, which I've seen it done. I've done myself, and I've seen other coaches do. But it requires a lot of buy-in, and it requires a lot of paying attention to detail from like everybody involved.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love that you're bringing all that you have accumulated and learned from working at the highest level of combat sports to the everyday person to just get them to think more strategically about chasing after their goals. Like, I think that is such a cool and unique approach. So I'm excited for people to jump into that. And I'm excited for your trainer of the year. Make sure everyone gets out and votes. And I know we went off on a fighting tangent, but I think that's because it felt like we had a lull for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden there's awesome fights. So
end of the year is going to be good. The end of the year for the UFC is always really good.
Amazing. So, well, I appreciate you, B. Thanks for hanging with me.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
I'll talk to you next week or this week. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Jason was going to join us, but he must have gotten busy. I know he's been teaching at Power Monkey Camp and has all kinds of things going on always. So I'll check in with him, and I'm sure he'll be back next week. But just appreciate those of you who did jump in to hang with us live. Last minute reminders for the third time, just in case you stayed till the very end. Community call tomorrow. Make sure that you've registered. If you're on the community call tomorrow, you will get early access to the new health data integration with Lifestyle and Trends feature in CoachRx. If you are at all interested in the OPEX method coaching mentorship, registration closes on October 3rd, which is this Friday. So if you want to get in and spend 10 weeks with us really figuring out how to level up your practice and set up your systems going into 2026, please do that. We're Carl and I and all the assistant instructors too are so hyped to just get in and work with this group of coaches. And I think that's everything. Be sure to check out all the Podcast Network shows. The crew is just, like I said, dropping awesome episodes for you every week. I will shout out because Austin Cap and Sam took a little bit of a hiatus. They had some camps going on. They just released an episode together. I think it's on Austin's YouTube channel. It'll be in the roundup, the next roundup email that goes out, but be sure to give that episode some love because it's always awesome when those two come together and treat you guys with an awesome episode. So that's it for the live this week. We'll see you next week and have a great week. Bye-bye.